All right, folks, how's it going? Welcome to another show. I'm hoping I'm coming through loud and clear. I'm having some technical issues tonight, so waiting to see if this thing's going to actually broadcast on me. No, there was a significant lag. Okay, that's interesting to see. That completely cut me off. Um, great, great. Okay, I'm going to try playing the intro here to see if that works. This is a buggy ass piece of software I've invested in. I do not like it. So let me put this in here and we'll get the show going. All right. Well, hopefully everybody can hear me and see things. Um, Not exactly sure what what this thing is up to half the time, but let's see. I've got everything. I've got the levels right. Let's see. Yes, I think that we're working all right. Yeah, sorry about that. This is going to be a quick one because there's not much to cover. I'm going to play this video real quick and then do a little commentary on it, and then I'm going to be out of here. I just wanted to cover this last one. I thought Tom Rabbittt had a video out. It was a conversation between Darth Dawkins and a guy named Sargent. And could have swore it was on his channel. It looks like it's gone. So I'm wondering if Tom removed that one. If anybody knows, drop a comment in there. But yeah, I'm not sure where that one went. Let me pull this one up. This is a very short one. This is, there it is. That is not what I want. What the hell is it doing? Jesus Christ. No. Wow. Okay. Let's try that. There we go. Good Lord. Okay. So, yeah, this one is only a minute and 33 seconds long, so you'll only be getting about 45 minutes worth of commentary out of me. Let's play this and we'll get going. Now, I do want to point out Tom Rabbitt's title is a little bit misleading. It says Darth tries to answer, could you choose to be attracted to a man? That's not exactly what the question is. Here we go.
Okay. Do you think that you could choose to be attracted to someone?
I love this ticker.
Could I choose to be attracted? Some ways yes, some ways no.
Right, but could you choose to want to be attracted to somebody?
There are people who do that. Yeah, the homosexuals do it, perverts do it, pedophiles do it.
Those are the ones that choose. Notice that. They're the ones that choose to be attracted.
Do you think you have the capacity to do that?
Do I?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Let's see. If I were to, if apostasy was possible, then I would say yes, but I don't hold that apostasy is possible for Christians. People can
That's an
choose to habitate themselves to something that is unnatural. But as long as somebody doesn't choose to further run away from, God's general purposes, then no. Did you get that, Tom Rabbittt? I hope you got that, Tom Rabbittt.
Let's go back to the beginning on that. And now I'm going to interrupt a lot.
Okay. Do you think that you could choose to be attracted to someone?
So the nice thing about this little tidbit is we can really, I can really dissect it and then bore the hell out of anybody that's tuning into this. I mean, the question is pretty simple. Do you think that a person can choose to be attracted to another person? That's all he's saying. Does it have anything to do with orientation? And I don't know what was happening in the conversation before this, so I don't know what the greater context was. I've only got this snippet, but that's all the question asks. Can you can you choose attraction?
Could I choose to be attracted to? Some ways yes, some ways no.
Okay. Even though that's mealy mouthed and kind of tap dancing around things, it's actually not too bad. Because generally, I mean, like attraction is probably based on a lot of different things. There's social factors, there's psychological factors, and some of these things are conscious and unconscious. But oftentimes, we're not totally in control of who we're specifically attracted to, or even as many people as we are attracted to. Some people are attracted to lots of people. Some people aren't attracted to very many people at all, regardless of their orientation.
Right.
And I don't really think that they choose that. So, and this guy doesn't really even have to get into any of those weeds. He just asks them, "Oh, okay, sometimes yes, sometimes no." So,
But could you choose to want to be attracted to somebody?
so now he's changed the question. Can you choose to want to be attracted to somebody? That might actually be a little bit more accurate. And then Darth goes here.
There are people who do that. Yeah.
So he believes that there are people who choose to want to be attracted to certain types of people.
The
Do you think
homosexuals do it, perverts do it, pedophiles do it.
They're choosing their attraction. They're choosing to want that. That's interesting. I wonder what he thinks of people who were so driven to despair by their inability to cope with their orientation in the past that they committed suicide and harmed themselves in various ways. Or saying that I probably just got demonetized, but or individuals that certain criminals who have asked for chemical castration in order to prevent them from ever having any kind of urges ever again. Like, do those sound like the actions of people who chose their attraction? This is getting at something really fundamental. I mean, this is a fundamental psychological concept that I think that Darth does not understand. And if you try to like stage that up to get to like trying to talk with him about how he thinks um, orientation works on top of attraction, to whom are you attracted? Um, the only thing he can really rely on are theological points.
do you think you have the capacity to do that?
Do I?
Yeah.
Now this is weird. So he asks him, "Do you have the capacity to do that?" Now, keep in mind, I think that maybe this goose guy, was asking like, "Do you have the capacity to choose who you want to be attracted to?" But what Darth I think is processing is, what do I have the capacity to choose to be attracted to choose to want to be attracted like the people he just mentioned? People in the LGBTQ community, people that he deems as perverted, or people who he deems as, offenders in some way, abusers, or what. Now he's just thinking in terms of that.
That's a good question. Let's see. If I were to,
I fundamentally believe he does, Wilberforce. I really do. I think he believes that you choose everything. Everything that you do is a conscious choice. Um, Maybe not everything. Like maybe he doesn't choose, to get physically sick or pass gas or something like that. But the things that you think and feel about, I think you pick those.
uh, if apostasy was possible, then I would say yes, but I don't hold that apostasy is.
So he brings up he brings up that concept, which is weird. The idea of apostasy. So just to get into something boring and theological here, because I like to when I can. Um, Generally speaking, this is a weird thing. So he's basically stated he doesn't think that apostasy is possible for a Christian. This makes me think that now Darth has stated that he's not a Calvinist, but this is sort of in line with one of the 5 points of tulip. And I know some Calvinists are really sensitive about that, like don't go to the tulip, because they've moved on to a new version where it's like the 5 graces or whatever, the 3 seashells, something. Um, um, the idea of apostasy being basically your grace can't fall away. So apostasy is usually defined as voluntary abandonment of the faith, normally. So it's a conscious and willful decision to reject Christianity after you've professed to believe in it. And in the case of certain religious dogmas, like perseverance of the saints in Calvinism, which that particular point was called perseverance of the saints. But once your heart was regenerated by the irresistible grace, another component of their dogma, that would regenerate you in such a way that your salvation could not fall away. You could not be an apostate. So it's interesting that Darth, while saying that he's not a Calvinist, holds to this, I think, relatively controversial theological position, even for some Christians. I don't know how many Christians think that this is really a thing, but I mean, you always get this kind of issue with some Christians when they find out, like, oh, you're an atheist now, but you were a Christian then. Well, you only thought you were a Christian then. You were never really a Christian, because a real Christian can't fall away from the faith. You get that from like Reform types and stuff, and Baptists, but they're usually in the Calvinist mold, so it kind of makes sense. They tend to hold to this kind of concept. I didn't think that he did, but apparently he does. What's odd about that is that there is a Hebrew quote from Hebrews, um, and it's kind of interesting because Darth mostly bases everything that he does on the Bible, um, and so there is biblical backing for the notion of apostasy, the willful decision to reject Christianity after you profess it. I'm technically an apostate within Christian denomination. I was raised in Christian churches, baptized in a Christian church. All the adults around me, I did not doubt the existence of God. I was a baptized, Bible believing Christian. Believed in Jesus, the existence of God. Tried to live according to the precepts of the Bible. Blah 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 blah. Gave that up. And according to Hebrews chapter 6, verses 4 through 6, for it is impossible in the case of those who have once been enlightened, who have tasted the heavenly gift, and have shared in the Holy Spirit, and have tasted the goodness of the word of God and the powers of the age to come, and then have fallen away, to restore them again to repentance, since they are crucifying once again the Son of God to their own harm, and holding him up to contempt. That's an interesting theological concept. So Hebrews in here, many Christians believe Hebrews was written by Paul. I don't know I think the consensus on this from scholars is that Hebrews is probably not. I know there's more division about that one, but I think the consensus is that Hebrews is not written by Paul, but it's in Christian circles, it's attributed to him. That this concept is actually doing the opposite of that. There's sort of a perseverance of the safe, but a perseverance of the condemned. If you were a Christian, professed to be a Christian, and then renounced that faith, you can't get salvation back. And that's an interesting verse to bring up, like a couple of verses to bring up to some of these people. If you believe that if I tell you I'm an atheist and you tell me I was never a Christian, that's interesting. That means I just need to be saved, right? But if you don't believe in that kind of like irresistible or the perseverance of the saints, then I guess what could happen is I'm an apostate, and if you hold to this verse, to be literally true, I can't be saved again. I had the good stuff, I threw it away. There's no coming back. You knew what you were giving up. So, yeah, just wanted to point that out because this is a weird kind of thing that he's getting into, and I don't know that he's really being all that consistent with it. So,
Possible for Christians. People can choose to habitate themselves to something that is unnatural. But as long as somebody doesn't choose to further run away from God's general purposes, then no.
How could they choose to run away from God's purposes if apostasy is not possible? How does choice have? I just don't understand what he's talking about. I really wish there was more of this conversation because I don't understand where he's going with that. Somebody really needs to kind of like, ask him some follow up. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? So you're not sure that it's possible for an apostate to actually occur, for somebody to really, renounce the faith? I think Darth is one of those types. Like, well, if you and I think he said this. So if you were a Christian and you're an atheist now, you never were a real Christian. You just couldn't have been. Okay. and he's got some kind of theological backing for that. Let's say that that's true, but now he's saying like, I don't know if it's entirely true. And people can habitate themselves, whatever habitate means. I think he just means like habituate themselves towards certain things, and he claims that they're quote unquote unnatural. So he's getting into this whole thing. Well, you made yourself into this is a lifestyle, and you chose it, which is interesting because I guess like the man is so heteronormative in this case that it doesn't occur to him that if he believes that there's a possibility for people to choose to be attracted to certain people, that would mean that if he even begins to accept the concept of sexual orientation, people who are same-sex oriented would be able to choose to be attracted to people of the opposite sex. And I don't think that he'd be willing to concede that. I think what he believes, I don't think that even really factors into it. I think he believes that people choose to be attracted to people of the same sex because they want to be that way. It's a lifestyle they want, and they're willing to go in that direction. So I guess everyone who's talking about their actual orientation is just lying. So yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it there. This is like one of the, like I've mentioned this before, but this is the reason why like fundamentalists in the Christian camp are just losing out completely on being able to do any kind of outreach to anybody below the age of 40, I think, at this point, unless they're already kind of fundamentalists or inclined that way themselves, because they can't talk about these issues in a way that is even remotely grounded in our shared reality or our shared concepts. The fact that Christians are so bad at handling and discussing issues of sexual orientation, or we're not even getting into gender identity, which is a big thing for them now. It's a big thing amongst right wing politicians and kind of traditional conservatives. But these people aren't even capable of dealing with a segment of the population now that the vast majority of Americans, they overwhelmingly believe that those people have the right to live their lives, to legally marry, to adopt kids. I mean, the overwhelming majority accept people who of same sex attraction. So Christians are just way behind on this entire thing, and mostly I think it's because they're trying to look at psychology and sociology, but they'll only look at those things insofar as that they can grab the bits and pieces that support some of the dogmas that they already hold to. And when they violate some of those dogmas, then they'll then just accuse that psychology or social science or whatever of being some kind of trick or scam or conspiracy to drag people away from God into the arms of Baal or whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. Let me get to some comments here. Because everything anyone does that Derp's God doesn't say to do is apostasy. Because it's imperative to Derp that all non-NIFB choose hell and are intentionally evil. Yeah, kind of. Nice one, Maynard. Thank you very much for the super chat, Pinworm. I don't have much to say. Thanks for everything. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to apologize right now for the yeah, to Mickey D. I just got here. Did I read that right? Darth Dawkins on attraction. Yeah. It was just yeah. It was just him being weird. Welcome, Sinus. Oh, I didn't realize you guys had a show tonight. I'm sorry if I ended up jumping into the middle of it. Jefferson Spacek equals spawn of Satan to certain apologists. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, got a lot of Clubhouse bans for that, and now nobody's on Clubhouse because they basically changed the entire app. So it's pretty nice. Thank you for the Sims. All right, folks, I'm going to leave that one up for a little bit, and I am going to get out of here. Thank you for the comments and everything. I know this is a really short one, but this was all I needed to cover. I'm going to be back in a little bit, and I'm going to do a very different content one in a little bit, because right now the Darth content is kind of dried up. I did find one, but it's not that interesting. I found him on a debate show, a panel show discussing some of his greatest hits. He's with a group of Christians, and he's kind of running the same script with a Calvinist. That he'd kind of run with anybody else, and the only difference is he's a tiny bit more polite. They stopped the video after a part of his sales pitch, and I don't know if he gets to a point where he starts screaming at the Calvinist, the same way he treats an atheist. But yeah, it is what it is. So thank you all very much for being around. No, you didn't think. Okay, good. I'm glad I didn't step on anybody's toes or anything like that. I I try to catch everybody's content when it's around, and sometimes when everybody starts going at the same time, it gets kind of weird, and I'm notorious for doing that. Maya, that's it. Yeah, sorry, Maya. And actually, I needed to reach out to you if you have time tonight. Well, I kind of figured it out on my own, but I was having some real issues with EV Mux here, trying to get this thing set up, and technical issues. My older Gen X brain can't handle technology anymore. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this one up. I will, like I said, I'll probably be back. I might be back in maybe an hour or so with the new one, depending on how I get this one set up. So, yeah. Otherwise, I'll probably be doing another one tomorrow night sometime. It just depends on how much more of this software I want to fight with right now. So, all right. Take it easy. And if anybody sees or finds any decent content of Darth Dawkins, lately, I think Tom's been gone for a little while because he did that one from about, like I said, 2 weeks ago. But if anybody finds anything on it and they want me to review it, feel free to email me at jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com, and I'll review it and take a look at it and see if I can throw it up there. I haven't been able to find anything except for some kind of meandering Discord conversations, and it's really hard to listen to 3 or 4 hour long versions of those and try to pick the pearls out. There's no pearls in there, but you know what I mean. It's difficult to do that and work and not like have a panic attack because it's just too much combined stress. So, all right, with that, folks, I'm going to get out of here. If I can figure out how to stop sharing, let's see here. Remove scene. I'm going to end this broadcast. I think I'm supposed to play a video here, maybe.